guys, what's up? It's Darkmech here and welcome back to another beta video. Today we're having a look at the dungeon, the Heroic Halls of Valor, and as usual I'm just going to try and skip through to all the bosses. I'll tell you about a couple of trash packs you need to know, but otherwise I won't bore you and we'll just go through a bit of an overview for the bosses and their current states at the moment and their abilities. So Heimdall is the first boss. He's got 5 abilities, and the first one you're going to see is the Horn of Valor. He blows his horn, dealing physical damage to all nearby enemies, and summons these storm drakes you can see over here, who come and breathe lightning across the platform, leaving a static field which causes damage every 2 seconds to anyone in the zone. And they also summon these tornadoes, which is called ball lightning at the moment, that fly out of the static field and do damage to anyone they hit. So you just want to make sure you're watching where the drakes are, move out of the static field and watch the tornadoes. His next ability is called Dancing Blade. He'll throw his weapon towards a random player and it will spin on the ground, and you just want to make sure that you move out of it. Is pretty simple with that one. I was a little bit jittery. You can see me kind of swinging around looking for the drakes here. That clock up in the corner says 7:41. It's not 7:41 PM. It's actually 7:41 AM. So I was a bit of a loser that stayed up all night, and there's only so many cups of coffee you can drink before you turn into a jittery fuck tank. One of the other abilities that he did just before is called Bloodletting Sweep. It's a frontal cone attack. It reduces all healing received by 25%, and it puts a bleed on the target, dealing damage every 2 seconds for 4 seconds. So your active mitigation spot is pretty much there. And that is it for Heimdall, guys. You really shouldn't have too many issues on him. Just watch out when he does the Horn of Valor, when he summons his drakes. Look where they are. There's 3 sections across the platform where they can breathe that static field, and you obviously just don't want to be in line with the one the drakes are at. So that is pretty much it. Now, one of the trash mobs I'm just going to talk about in here for tanks are the Sentinels here. They have changed them, thank fuck. They do an ability called Crackle. They'll target a random player and they'll shoot a straight line of lightning out of them. You obviously just want to make sure you're moving and not being in the way. They'll also do this Charge Pulse, where they'll knock people back. So as a tank, make sure you're not getting knocked into other ad packs with that. Have you back to a wall, or you can just run out of the circle, or as a demon hunter you can just double jump it and you'll have no worries. The Crackle was actually one-shotting people though, and they have changed that, so that's good. This second pack at the top of the stairs I just want to talk about for tanks. One of them will cast a Rune of Healing. It's this circle on the ground. Make sure that you move them out of the circle on the ground, otherwise they'll just keep healing. And that is about it. That's the only thing I sort of want to mention for new tanks on this one. That big circle on the ground, you probably would have anyway, but just so you know, make sure that you move them out of it. As you can see at the moment, Demon Hunter DPS for AoE is not broken at all. It's exactly where it needs to be, and hopefully it hits that way live. I'm expecting a nerf, but hopefully it doesn't. So moving up to the second boss. Now there are 2 mystics as such before the second boss, and you need to kill them obviously to progress to the second boss, but they also play a part in the second boss. So the first mystic I'm going to talk about here to the left is Solston. Now he'll cast an ability called Eye of the Storm, which makes a storm, and there'll also be an ability that gets cast called Inner Storm, which is the bubble here, and you need to just make sure you move inside the bubble. It's pretty straightforward. You're not going to have any issues on this boss. He doesn't actually cast anything else at the moment aside from Eye of the Storm, so just DPS him down and make sure when the bubble pops up that you all move under the bubble, and you won't have any problems on Solston. The second one, and I'm probably going to butcher so many names in here, so I apologize for that, is Olmir or Olmire or something like that. This mystical casting ability called Searing Light, and you just want to interrupt it. It's pretty straightforward. He'll also cast an uninterruptible spell called Sanctify. And if you remember in Heart of Fear, the ability called Attenuating, or Attenuation I think it was called, you just need to make sure that you dodge all this yellow shit that is out on the ground. It doesn't do a hell of a lot of damage at the moment, but just make sure you dodge the yellow shit. Demon Hunters, we can double jump over it again. Double jump's amazing for avoiding stuff, whether that gets changed or not, but just make sure you dodge the yellow shit and you won't have any problems. So on to the second boss, which is Hyja, or something similar to that nature. The 2 mystics come back up once you engage this boss, and depending on which side you move to, the boss is empowered with their ability. So we've gone to the left side, so she's empowered with Eye of the Storm. If we had gone to the other side, it would have been Sanctify. So again, make sure, same thing, when Eye of the Storm is cast, you move to the inside of the bubble. She'll do an ability called Shield of Light, which charges her shield and does a knockback. You want to use your your active mitigation, on this one, tanks. She'll also do that ability she did at the start called Arcing Bolt, which is a bolt of lightning that leaps up to 5 times, inflicting damage to each target. So make sure you're a bit spread out for that one and it won't actually leap. There's no, at the moment, requirement on the beta fight to change her sides. I'm assuming when this hits live, there'll be some kind of buff that she'll get when she stays on one side for too long and you'll have to move her to another side. But at the moment it is not functioning that way, and you can just stay on one side for the whole fight. So that is that boss. Not overly difficult, but visually this dungeon is actually really awesome. So you're going to run all the way down the hall here now, and you're going to go through this portal, and it's going to take you to the Field of the Eternal Hunt, and we're going to go on our way to the third boss. Now there's a couple, you're going to have to kill a few ads through this way. You can see these storm drakes land on the map. You can actually mount up and run around this storm drake, I think, if you're quick enough, or you go around the back, but you can just kill it otherwise. With the storm drake, again, just watch the crackling storm and watch the lightning breath it does. Obviously you just don't want to stand in it, but you're not going to have any problems on the storm drake. What you're actually looking for on the fields here are these footprints. Now the footprints will either lead you to the left or the right side of this path, and they will take you to the third boss, Fenrir here. So the big wolf, you're going to fight twice pretty much. The first time you'll fight him from 100% to 60%, then he'll run away, and then you have to track him down again. But he always goes to the same spot after he's ran away. So you'll probably see 2 abilities in this first phase. The first one is Ravenous Leap. It'll leap towards a random player, inflicting damage to everyone within 10 yards of the impact zone. It'll also leave a bleed which ticks for damage every 3 seconds. And the other ability you'll see in this first phase is Claw Frenzy, which you'll lash out, dealing damage split between all party members within 12 yards. This attack will always hit, and it will always ignore armor. But again, he doesn't hit overly hard. So he's down to 60% now, and he's going to run away. So he runs off to the bottom of the map, which I probably should have shown you, but you need to run down there. You're going to have to kill a couple of wolf packs on the way to him, and you'll get down here and he'll be licking his wounds. So you'll engage him again. The same 2 abilities with Ravenous Leap and Claw Frenzy will still be present in this phase. He'll also have a thing called Unnerving Howl. He'll do a howl which interrupts all casting for 3 seconds. In his heroic phase as well, or in heroic mode, sorry, he'll also call 3 wargs to assist him. So just group them up and smash them down ASAP. You do want to kill them quickly though, because while they're up, he gets a buff called Strength of the Pack. It increases all damage by 15% for each pack member nearby. So use your active mitigation and just get them down quickly. He'll also have an ability called Scent of Blood, which is his fixate. He'll fixate on a random player for 6 seconds, and every 2 seconds of this 6-second fixate, his melee attack damage is increased by 50%. So just make sure you run the fuck away, and you won't have any problems on this boss either. So that is it. You'll get a speed boost now, so it is quicker than mounting up, and you just want to run all the way back to the portal. Run down the corridor, you'll kill 2 more of those sentinel ads at the same time, so just watch the crackle, and you will go up this kind of like Bifrost light bridge. I think the Bifrost was a rainbow bridge though, so I'm not sure if this is just a light bridge or how this fits into whatever's going on, but visually it's awesome nonetheless. So you're going to run up the top here, and before you can get to the next boss, you have to go through sort of this mini event with these 4, we'll call them mini bosses. They're not kind of bosses, but you have to go through them anyway. So I've gone to the left. I'm pretty sure you can go to the right as well, but I've gone to the left, and we're starting on King Ranulf. All you need to do with King Ranulf is interrupt his ability called Unruly Yell. I don't know what it does, because we interrupt it every time, but just make sure you interrupt it and you shouldn't have any problems. And that is all he does. You are not going to have any problems there. The next one up when you talk to him is King Haldor. Again, you want to make sure that you're interrupting Unruly Yell. He also casts an ability called Sever, which puts a dot on you. You just want to use your active mitigation on there. It doesn't hit overly hard or anything like that, but just make sure you're using your active mitigation on Sever, interrupt the Unruly Yell, and you are not going to have any issues on Haldor here. You can see that debuff also stacks, but you shouldn't have any problems. The next two you fight at the same time, King Bjorn and King Tor, not King Thor. Bjorn will throw a Wicked Dagger, and Tor will cast the ability Sever again. They both cast Unruly Yell, so make sure you're trying to interrupt that. They'll also cast an ability called Call Ancestor, where you can see Tor's doing it at the moment. And what it does is it spawns a little golden ancestor that walks towards them. Now, I have no idea what it does if it actually reaches them, because I gathered that the ancestor reaching them would be a bad thing, so I've started moving them away. So all you need to do is make sure that you just kite them away as the tank. Don't let the servants get to them. You can see you can DPS the servants, you can also stun them. But they move so slow. If you just kite them around the outside here, you shouldn't have any problems. You should probably only get 2 ancestors up. You can see we've got 2. One's just dead. We stunned the other one. Tor's nearly dead, so just kite them away. Don't let them get there, and that is it. Now, once they're all done, Odin is going to throw down this shield on the ground called the Aegis of Agramar. And you want to pick that up. Now, you don't have to do it as the tank, just make sure someone picks it up. It is easy as the tank. And then you are going to fight God King Skolvard. He has 6 abilities to worry about. The first one I'm going to talk about is Fellblaze Rush. So he'll charge towards a random player, dealing damage to all players within 10 yards. He'll then cast this ability called Ragnarok, where it'll say move to the shield, thanks DBM. Ragnarok inflicts fire damage to all enemies every 1.5 seconds for 9 seconds, and the cast increases the damage by 25%. So all you need to do is use your little boss button you got when you picked up the Aegis of Agramar. It does a sort of a half, you can see this sort of sphere shield that we've got here. And all you need to do is make sure you're standing in the shield when he casts Ragnarok, and that is pretty much it. Next, he'll pick it up and he'll summon these Flames of Woe, which are just fixate on random people, and as they move around, they spread the fire, which is called Infernal Flames. Infernal Flames, you just want to make sure that you just don't stand in it. It does a dot. The more bad you stand in, the higher the dot stacks, so don't stand in the bad stuff. Once he drops the shield, you need to go and claim it again, so make sure you pick it up. He'll also cast this ability called Savage Blade, which is our active mitigation move for tanks. It's physical damage that leaves a dot on the target if they are not using active mitigation. So as soon as you cast Savage Blade, make sure that you're popping your active mitigation ability. You can see Ragnarok goes up again. Just click on the Aegis and the shield will come up. Everyone stands in it, and that is it. Pretty simple, guys. So then we finally get to fight the last boss in here, Odin. Now, Odin has a couple of abilities. You don't actually fight Odin to 0%. You can see he's got 252 million health. You fight him down to about 80%. So the first ability that Odin is going to cast, you can see these swirly yellows on the ground, is Spears of Light, where these spears come up out of the ground. Large pillars at a player's location. They deal holy damage to everyone within 8 yards. They'll also damage a player every 2 seconds if they remain in range of those spears, so make sure you move away from them. You can see he's casting this ability called Radiant Tempest. It's holy damage. It knocks all players back within 30 yards, so you just need to make sure you GTFO 30 yards away from him. He'll also cast this ability which summons these Stormforge Obliterators. They'll cast an ability called Surge. You just want to make sure that you are killing them ASAP. The Surge will deal damage to all enemies. Each successful cast reduces the cast time of the next Surge, so kill them as they pop up. He'll shatter the spears, which send out the orbs. You want to make sure you're dodging them. And he'll also do Runic Brand, which puts a rune on each person's head, as you can see, and you need to move to the corresponding rune. Once you get there, you'll actually get this ability called Branded, which will increase your damage and healing by 50%, and it'll also put you back to full HP. You can see the spears are being shattered there and all the shit coming out. Again, just make sure you're dodging it. With the Runic Brand, I should also mention it'll only last for 12 seconds, so make sure you're getting to your rune in time, and it'll also deal holy damage every 2 seconds while you are getting to your rune. So that is pretty much it, guys. As I said, he bugs out at 81%, he leaves the fight, and you win, and that is it. So that's it for the Heroic Halls of Valor, guys. As I said, most likely some things will change by the time it hits live, but that is a little bit of an overview anyway to give you a bit of a head start for when you hit into Live Legion. So thanks very much for checking out the video, guys. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. See you guys.